Okay, sorted out. Well, so back to what we were talking about, which was on the subject of pay. We're trying to bring changes to the way that things are done here, and as is pretty well the case in many parts of the world, the UK is no different. My usual big three that I blame for everything, tongue-in-cheek of course, these are just some of the examples that come to mind, and I have experience of those because I'm from Great Britain. I've lived for a short time in Australia and a long time in the US. People are working at a minimum. They don't get chance to get ahead. We decided that our charity work that we do would include trying to lift the lot of the working man. And we got the Superman team together and we said, look, we're going to expect that you work damn hard, but we're going to pay you better than anybody else would pay you. So we pay them. You can get a worker for, I've heard other expats bragging about getting a man to work for them for 200 pesos a day. That's $4. Isn't that clever of them? How does a man put food on the table of his family? $4 a day. I know that they can't. We decided that we weren't going to do that. $200, $300 a day. Now, that doesn't mean that we haven't employed some people for $300 a day. Actually, there is one that I was talking to one of our visitors who left today, and I was talking about how we've come to an agreement with some people like that. When we first started to use the young boy Balantoy, he was a novice. He didn't know very much. But that boy worked hard and constant, and he learned fast. So he's doing the work, we pay him the money. Now, so a carpenter probably could command, say, $400 pesos a day. We pay 500 pesos a day, and if they have to bring their own food, here's the tradition in the Philippines: you feed the workers. They come and work on your place, you feed them. Right, so if they're taking their own food, and if they have to go even a slightly extra long way to get to the job, we pay them 600. Now, this has been told that we are employing people at inflated prices because they're our relatives. Well, this gets us to the other question that somebody put to us just today. Is it possible to get people to volunteer? Our take on this, as we've said many times, is that you can't get someone who's got nothing to volunteer to work for nothing. You have to offer him the opportunity to earn an honest wage for an honest day's work, and that is a step up for him, and it's a good change that we're bringing from us, and that's what we do. So we pay higher wages and we expect to receive a better day's work because of that. Because when a man feels that he's being treated very well, you can go over there and say, come on, we need to finish this job by tomorrow. And Beth does that often. Hence these incredible times that we have been building houses. 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. A slow job actually has proved, depending on what day that we started, a slow job where it hasn't seemed to go very fast is something like 6 days. 7 days is, boy, time is dragging. Now, when people ask us, as they often do, how much does a house like this cost? No matter how many times I say this, somebody won't have seen that particular video and they will just not understand what the situation is. If we build a house that's way up in the mountains and we have to use a four-wheel drive vehicle to get up there, and it's difficult and hard on the vehicles, and it's time consuming, and sometimes, often, we can't get the hardware stores, that's the construction building companies, we can't get them to deliver the materials. Now, if they've got a vehicle where the four-wheel drive is not working so great, and it's a big truck that they have to make the deliveries, you might find they dig their heels in and say, sorry, it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk of getting bogged down. They have got bogged down in the old road before we had the road graded, and they got bogged down. I remember that one man said to Beth, when she talked to him about doing the next delivery, he said quite vehemently, I will never, never, never deliver here again. But I'm not quite sure what he meant by that, but perhaps he's not intending to deliver anymore. He since has delivered, but our road has improved. So other people have said, can you not get villagers to come in and work on that road because it's to their benefit? And once again, the answer is no. When you have a good working team and they work fast, efficiently, know exactly who has what job, then you don't want amateur people coming in and fiddling around and having to be told what to do. We've had quite a few cases where the man of the house that has been receiving a house, the husband, has actually pitched in, but they're gophers. They'll go and get this, if they've got any idea about mixing concrete, they'll mix concrete or cement, and they'll help, but they will be told not to get in the way, because what can happen is it can slow things down. When I was working as a carpenter in London, I would go out and do a job, and one particular place I had to build a staircase to a mezzanine floor that I had put in those days. Just for your interest, back then you have these huge Victorian houses which have been separated into apartments, and the ground floor will have 12-foot ceilings. Now, what I used to do was I used to put in a gallery bed. So this was a bed that you couldn't go up there and stand full height, so you would be stooped, but it became another floor with a 6-foot ceiling underneath and probably 4 to 4.5 feet clearance in the bedroom area, but it would double the size of a small apartment. So I used to do that. Well, one particular lady who was obviously a real go-getter, she'd been attending classes for woodworking and said, will it be cheaper if I work with you? And I said, no ma'am, it wouldn't. It would be more expensive because I'd be forever stopping to show you what to do. So that didn't work out. Okay, so the idea that you can have somebody in there working, apart from anything, if they don't have a high aptitude, they might get hurt. And everybody knows it's a 4-5-man team, and everybody knows exactly what they're doing, and they all know who to help what, when one becomes a helper and then later becomes the skilled one. Somebody always takes a junior position, and when everybody knows exactly what they're doing, it works really, really well. They get paid, as I said, get paid every day. And when it gets down to the last day, Beth goes in there and says, look, you gotta finish this today. And if it's not finished today, then it will only be 2 working tomorrow just to tidy this up or tidy that up. Our usual agreement is, and this is the agreement that we like to enforce, and that is that the old house must be trashed. The old house must be knocked down. They can get rid of all of the debris themselves, but we knock it down. That's so that somebody else doesn't move into it and we have the same tragedy reoccurring. So I think we've only ever had one example, one time, when the person said, no, we can't do that because the old house belongs to my brother, which we didn't know, and he said that he wants to keep the house. So we had to back down on that one. But we've learned the lesson, and we've gone to greater lengths now to make sure, wait a minute, is this house yours? Can we knock it down? And so on. And other houses we've refused to make because there's a case of the brother owned it, and possibly as soon as he sees a nice new house there, might decide that he'd like to move in. So then we'd have somebody that was homeless. So these cases, these situations, projects, they're fraught with various difficulties, and we're learning as we go. And yes, a lot of people are saying, yes, well, couldn't you do this instead of that, and that instead of this? And yeah, I guess we could. And those of you who have very good ideas, we're looking forward to seeing you here. And as soon as you get going and doing it your way, we'll back you right up to the hilt. So, and I mean that, we will try. Lots of people are inspired by what we're doing and want to do the same thing. It's not quite as easy as you think, believe me, and it's much more time consuming than you might think. We always used to say that we would feel lucky if we got back home before daylight disappeared. Just lately we're doing that because of the situation with our going for non-stock, non-profit corporation. And we're doing that so that we can go for bigger funding and so that we can do bigger projects. Instead of going into a small community, which they call a barangay, instead of going in and doing one house because that's the one that's come to our attention, what we're hoping and planning is that we'll be able to go in, and if there's 4 or 5 houses, we'll be able to replace all of the houses, which would be really terrific, because then we could plan it so that it was more integrated and less awkward, houses too close together or something, and we'll be able to plan it a lot better, and that's what we're hoping. And we should be able to do that with the larger funding that we could get. Now, touching on that, to bring you up to date on our situation with the DSWD, which is a social services for those of you who don't know. Somebody made a complaint and brought down the fear of God on the local social services, and by deciding that they will go for safety, they've forbidden us to do any social welfare work at all. So a lot of the programs that we put up, mainly getting the children, we have, I think it's about 110 or 120 children, somewhere between 100 and 120 children, and they are on what we've been calling our education support program. It's not very grand. That's a very grand title for something that it just amounts to giving them a few pesos per day to get something to eat when they go to school. It's a very small amount, but boy, it makes a great deal of difference to a really poor kid coming from a dirt floor house, a dirt floor NEPA house that leaks when it rains, and being able to eat not just rice but a meat dish of some kind. So it's been an important thing. Now, we've had to stop that, which has been a heartbreaker for us, because those children are looking to us to do it. A lot of people have been quite, what can we say, not bitter but frustrated, oh, as if we haven't, and said, well, isn't the DSWD supposed to be doing that? To tell you the truth, I'm really not sure, and it doesn't matter, because we're not looking for anybody to fund. Well, we're not looking for anybody to fund anything right now, because we've been told to stop. As soon as our non-profit comes through, then we'll be fine, and we'll be able to solicit for funds, because we'll be able to offer a tax-deductible receipt. So any company that's in America that's looking on and seeing what we do, as one company that's in the movie-related industry of making movie prop replicas, they've been in touch with us. An old colleague of mine has been in touch and said, we'd really like to help, and we'd like to help raising funds for you. So this kind of thing is what's going to come about. Now, I've got to show you how strict they are holding us to. My birthday is on the 22nd of July, and I'm 38 again. Okay, and what's happened is that one of the guests that stayed with us it was a week or two ago, Brett has sent me a gift, a birthday gift. Happy birthday, Terence. Please find enclosed $4,000, and that's obviously to use as we wish. That's my money. So we put it to the DSWD. We would like to build with my money, our money. We would like to build 4 houses, or possibly, if we can squeeze it, 5 houses. That would be in the month of July. We already have a lot of the materials, not quite fully funded, of House 32, but we do have almost all of the funding. Now, for all of that funding, which will come from the $4,000 American dollars, we said, well, why shouldn't we be allowed, in the meantime of waiting for our license, why shouldn't we be allowed to just house 4 families? Now, 4 families, that could be, it could be upward 40 people, because some of these houses that we've been putting up have 10 people. You know, the little girl, the little blind girl, Sarah, her house, she is one of 9 children. My wife Beth is one of 10 children. Right, and please don't start me on the we should be teaching birth control. That's not our job. We're first responders, trying to get people under a roof that doesn't leak, and children into a safe environment which is at least reasonably enjoyable for them, so they can have a childhood. Well, we put our suggestion to social services, and they said no. So we are powerless to do anything about that. We asked to speak to higher ups. They came back to us and said, yes, we've done that. The answer is no. So it's not going to be for long, because we were told at the start of our application that it would take about 6 weeks, and our attorney has been working at it already for between 2 and 3 weeks. So we should be able to hope that our non-profit status will be through in, let's say 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, so once that happens, we will be ready to go. We'll be up, we'll be poised at the starting gate, ready to go, because as I said, we actually, when we were stopped, we were in the process of building a house for the most pitiful situation of a young woman with I think it was 2 children, but one is a babe in arms, and you can see that that was house 32. Go and look at that video and see what we would be rescuing that woman from. The house is just awful. There's an open well right next to the house and children running around. Help is needed, and we've actually ordered and had delivered all of the wood to do that. We will be putting in a cement floor, our usual of hollow blocks, and that will go up between 3 and 5 courses of hollow block, and then on top of that goes the frame, and then on top of the frame goes the Amacon cladding. So we were hoping to be finished on that now. That little family should have been enjoying a new house, but that was not to be. But you can look at how disappointed and realize how disappointed we were when that happened just by looking at the video for house 32, and have a look. It's very, very sad. It's very sad that rules should be obeyed in spite of the obvious what shall we say, the obvious need for compassion and bending things a little bit, you know. As I said, as we are in the process of doing our whatever is needed, and it's not down to us, we can't procrastinate on it. We paid a substantial amount of what it's going to cost for the legal thing to be done by an attorney, and it would be done, and it's being done. So we kind of thought, well, would have been nice if they'd worked with us, but that was not to be. So I rambled on a little bit, and that little knocking sound there was either my wife knocking out her pipe so that she can smoke another pipeful, or she's trying to tell me that I should be leaving off now. So thanks for looking in. Please, if you are at that point where you are committed to watching our videos and you have not subscribed, I tell you again, 74% of the people that watch us are not subscribed, and the subscribing carries our channel into a totally new place. It gets promoted, and if it gets promoted, and now obviously I'm not kidding you, we earn more money, right? And at the moment we will soon be soaring up between Beth and I to quite possibly almost at minimum wage in America, right? So if you think that we're earning great sums of money, go to Social Blade, and they give you the lowest amount that we could be earning to the highest that we could be earning for a whole year, if everything goes great and the wind behind us and all kinds of things wonderful happening, which we hope for. Well, subscribe and it will help, and every time that you help, that means that you are pushing for change for people who at the moment, because of the way that we choose and publish their story on video, these are people who would otherwise live without hope. Check out the video of the skeleton house. Go and check that out. If that doesn't move you, then you must have a big piece of granite in there, not a heart. So please subscribe, and if you are already subscribed and you think that there is someone in your life as extended family or friends who would be touched by what we do, we're not soliciting for funds right now, okay, but sooner or later we'll have our status approved, and then we'll be able to. And if you are with us, you can support those in any way that you like, be it $1 on our Patreon account or $5 if you're going to send it to be used on building a house. We're not proud, we'll take that and we'll show it being used. So subscribe, and in subscribing you are helping. At the most basic level you are helping, and if you share, that's another way that you can help too. So looking forward to all of the help and all of the support that we can. We just tipped the scales this morning at 32,000, which is funny because someone said, well, there's no TMB are in competition then, and they said, no, there's no competition, look at them, they're nothing. And at the time we were only 8 or 10,000 subscribers, and then somebody took our channel and tied it to the tail of a rocket, and off it went. And that 10,000 that we hoped to achieve by Christmas just gone, we actually went on record and said our target is to reach 10,000 subscribers. And here we are this morning, we reached 32,000. What a roller coaster ride that's been, and we hope that you will join us. And you can see what you support being supported in pretty short time, and you'll see the faces of the people that are helped, including ours, because we'll be there and we'll be delighted to be able to hand over to another family. So thanks for looking in. Subscribe, please subscribe and share, like, comment, everything. And bye for now. This is a foreigner in the Philippines.